afternoon and welcome to State Newsfile. I'm Brianne Smith. Kendall Robertson will have sports coming up. But first, let's check in with Cassandra Stefanik with the weather.
Well, the weather is finally starting to feel like it's looking up. We've hit our first high above zero in what feels like forever, but as we go on later in the day, it's going to start to cool right back down again. This time last year, it was a beautiful 8 degrees thanks to an Alberta Chinook, but even that can't compare to Calgary's record high of 14 degrees and sunny all the way back in 1926. I'll have more for you in a while about the weather, but first we'll take you back inside.
Great, sounds good. So we have lots of Trojans action this weekend?
Yes, there's going to be so many games to take in this weekend for student night. The only teams we're not going to be able to watch will be volleyball because they're in Briarcrest this weekend.
Awesome. Now look at today's top stories. Calgary's snow route parking ban ended 12 hours earlier than expected, which means crews can now start snow clearing operations on residential routes sooner. The snow may have stopped falling, but the roads are still slick out there for drivers in our city. Quebec and British Columbia require by law that you have proper winter tires installed on your vehicle. Although Alberta does not have a legislation on winter tires, many professionals feel this is just as important as wearing your seatbelt. Winter tires have proved to stop many accidents from happening.
The difference is like when the temperature it goes down like below 0 and then below 10 and then below 20, right? So the more it goes down like that, your tire gets very liquid, like it gets really dry, and there's less chance of having any traction. But the winter tire, that's the benefit, right? So it doesn't actually it doesn't go dry. You can still have some traction.
Waldo adds, some of the accidents that happen are simply because people are not paying attention and also because they think they can drive the same way they can in the summer. Accidents aren't just happening on the roads these days. It's because of the cold winter. With conditions come cold pipes, and that can lead to wet basements. Water from burst pipes cause thousands of dollars in damage every year. As Ivan Ivanoff reports, there are ways to prevent the problem.
There's not much we can do here in Canada to prevent the pipes from freezing and breaking in the ground. That just is a natural thing we do.
In winter, the pipes in the ground tend to break not only because water gets frozen or the high pressure in it, but it's also caused by the friction of the ground when it shifts because of the cold, and there is nothing we can do about it.
In the house, we can actually prevent the house pipes breaking in the house by making sure our houses get the furnace on for number one, and number two, when you redesign and develop your basement, that you make sure you're not putting the water pipes behind the insulation and the vapor barrier in the basements.
To prevent the pipes from freezing and breaking in the house, we need to keep the pipes active. So, if you're going to take a vacation in winter, it is recommended someone visit your house once in a while.
One of the methods that you can use to prevent your pipes from freezing, you got to maintain a flow. So it's like a river. If the river stops flowing in -40, well, it's going to freeze. Same idea with your piping system.
If you're suspicious that a pipe in your house is frozen or broken, call the technicians because the consequences could be worse than just wet walls. In this time of the year, it is better to double check the heater of your house in order to have it in optimal temperatures to prevent pipe freeze and or fracture. For State Newsfile, I'm Ivan Ivanoff.
The Douglas Garland trial continued today with testimony from 2 police officers who were part of the investigation into the case. Angela Stewart is live from the Calgary courthouse. Angela, what happened today?
Yes, Bree, today was day 17 of the Douglas Garland triple murder trial. Only 2 witnesses testified for the Crown today. The first witness, Constable Lane Trim, a 12-year member with the Calgary Air Support Unit as a tactical flight officer. On July 14, 2014, the day of Garland's arrest, Trim was flying in a Hawks helicopter while monitoring the surveillance of him on the ground. Trim did point out as a video was playing for the jury, Garland was crawling through a thick line of trees as they tracked him from the air with a helicopter camera. According to Trim, Garland was arrested just after 1 in the morning. The last witness today, Jamie Parhar, a 3-year member with the Calgary Police Service. Parhar and her partner volunteered to go to Airdrie to assist in the investigation. By the time Parhar reached Garland's location, he was hiding in the trees not too far from his farm. her and her partner at that point had become separated. Parhar said she was not concerned until Hawks asked her where her backup was. That's when she decided to stop her pursuit. She told the Crown shortly after her partner and members of the surveillance team arrived on scene, Garland came out of hiding. Parhar placed the arrest on Garland and stated he was calm, collected, and very expressionless while being handcuffed. Douglas Garland is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 5-year-old Nathan O'Brien and his grandparents, Alvin and Kathy Lickness. Brianne?
Angela Stewart reporting live from the Calgary courthouse. Final arguments will be on Monday. The trial is expected to conclude on Tuesday following the charge to the jury. Loblaw companies have expanded a recall of PC Organics baby food pouches. The recall today expanded on one that was issued last week to include more than 24 flavors which were in stores as recently as yesterday. The products were sold across Canada through the Loblaw retail network. The grocery chain says the pouches may contain a toxin produced by a bacteria that can cause everything from nausea and vomiting to paralysis, and in serious cases, death. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will sit down with U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday in Washington. The White House says the leaders will discuss strengthening the relationship between their countries. The Prime Minister's office released in a statement, the two leaders will discuss the unique relationship between Canada and the United States and how best to work hard for middle-class Canadians and Americans together. After Trump signed the executive order pausing all entries to the U.S. from 7 Muslim-majority nations, Trudeau tweeted that Canada welcomes people fleeing persecution, terrorism, and war. Premier Rachel Notley was in Calgary today and touched on the two leaders' upcoming first visit.
Also, Alberta has the benefit of having the kind of case to make to the U.S. Where they benefit as much from our trade relationships as we do. And so we're well positioned that way. But the thing that we also know is that not everybody in Washington spends a lot of time thinking about Canada.
Notley adds there's no doubt that there's value in engaging. Chinatown was full of culture last night. The Year of the Rooster was celebrated with culture, dances, food, fortunes, and good wishes. Kara Oosterhouse reports on what this year will look like for Chinatown and how the city plans to revitalize the area.
Gung Hei Fat Choi was the greeting all throughout Chinatown last night as the Chinatown District Business Improvement Area celebrated the Year of the Rooster. The phrase means congratulations and be prosperous. Alongside the celebration, the hot topic was the revitalization of Chinatown.
So part of the revitalization of Chinatown is creating events and celebrating culture. So tonight what you're going to see is the Lunar New Year reception that's organized by 2 organizations, the Chinatown District BIA and the Calgary Chinatown Community Association. So what you see is a community event that's celebrating the Year of the Rooster.
Mayor Naheed Nenshi and other city councillors came to express their dedication to help revitalize the area.
As you all know, this has been a very big year for Chinatown, and it will continue to be a big year for Chinatown as we think about how to reimagine this neighborhood, how to make sure that this neighborhood is exciting and vibrant well into the future. And I'm truly excited that we now have our first business improvement area in place here in Chinatown.
Councillor Drew Farrell says in order to make any progress with Chinatown, we need to work together.
We have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of work to do together to build a beautiful, great, important Chinatown in the city of Calgary.
They celebrate the Chinese New Year every year here in Chinatown, but this year the focus on revitalization was what made all the difference. This is the first year this event has come to Chinatown, and they hope it will be a tradition that continues. For St. Newsfile, I'm Kara Oosterhouse.
The Calgary Zoo has started a new partnership to help protect more endangered species. Talks with the Animal Care Centre in Strathmore have been taking place for a while. Both companies came to an agreement on what the new conservation program should look like and how many people would need to be hired. From this partnership, the zoo is expecting more resources in conservation so they are able to do more.
we think that there's some good synergy where we'll be able to work together, share staff, and just be able to have much more kind of efficient and flexible workforce here.
The new clinic staff will mainly help with breed and release programs for the whooping crane and sage goose. It will also look into starting the same program for the northern leopard frogs later this year. The University of Calgary and the Calgary Urban Project Society hosts a pet wellness clinic in downtown Calgary today. Third-year Calgary Faculty of Veterinary Medicine students were there providing free prevention health care for pets of CUP clients. Jeff Slack reports.
I kind of rely on her for that comfort piece in the evenings when the depression and the anxiety.
For people who live below the poverty line, it can be hard to afford to take care of a pet. This is the third year that the University of Calgary has helped clients of the Calgary Urban Project Society. This opportunity benefits both clients and also gives students a chance to test out their skills in a real situation.
The main motivation was really service learning, so providing a learning opportunity to our third-year DVM students, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine students, a way for them to practice their communication skills in a real-life setting.
On average, the clinic sees about 40 pets go in and out for treatment, and in the 3 years they've been there, they have seen a total of 130.
Having a cat or a dog for the first year costs you over $1,000 to take care of. For someone who has low income earning, this can be very difficult.
Some pet owners who have pets will feed them before they feed themselves. This can cause emotional strain on the owner.
We'll have animals that come in here that have a lot of issues, and it's very overwhelming for the owners or the parents. But then it also at the end turns out being very happy because we're giving them support.
For State Newsfile, I'm Jeff Slack.
Those are today's top stories. We'll have your full forecast for you after the break. But first, Cassandra Stefanik has a look at what's going on around Calgary this week.
Meet the master chocolatier himself, Bernard Callebaut, and enjoy a sweet evening of chocolate and wine just in time for Valentine's Day. Tickets are $25. Join 7 comics while they descend into sleep-deprived madness in this 26-hour improv marathon. The heavily caffeinated performance will be 100% free for all to view at the Lab in Calgary. Experience the progressive and psychedelic sounds of The Dark Side of the Moon played in its entirety by the Calgary Philharmonic Orchestra, Saturday, February 11th at the Jack Singer. Swap out your regular Saturday attire for Elizabethan short pants. Much Ado About Nothing improvised Shakespeare is a fresh take on the beloved classic. $6 will get you cover at Calgary's legendary longest-running hip-hop DJ night. Dance off the 80s and 90s nostalgia at Broken City. Support Sate's Bakery and Pastry Arts program. Look for the food bike in the Stan Grad building and send your friends, significant others, and teachers a Valentine's Day cookiegram. February 13th and 14th.
Calgary Police respond to 2 calls every hour of every day related to domestic violence.
Homefront, a nonprofit organization, works to ensure that victims have the support, information, and resources they need to break the cycle of abuse and live positive and healthy futures.
It takes a community to end domestic violence. Visit homefrontcalgary.com and help our city.
The Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society has been protecting more than 1 million square kilometers of Canadian wilderness for over 50 years. The Southern Alberta chapter has been at the forefront of this movement from the beginning, partnering with local communities, organizations, different levels of government, and individuals much like yourself. We're always looking for more support. Help us help Canada by donating, fundraising, or volunteering today.
Welcome back to State Newsfile. Now, like I said, it is starting to warm up in Calgary, which is fantastic. Fortunately, I can't necessarily say the same thing for our neighbors to the west. Over in Vancouver, we are experiencing freezing rain, unfortunately, clouds and a high of 3. Over in Edmonton, they're experiencing very, very similar weather to like what we have in Calgary. Warming up, I guess we're not necessarily warming up, as Winnipeg is sunny, very deceiving, and in Regina we also have -17. Over in Toronto, we're sitting at -4, sitting pretty. We're actually starting to warm up as we head a little closer to the east or the east coast. Halifax -1 and cloudy, and St. John's at 0 degrees. We are warming up, but not quite like our resorts. Palm Springs is a California dream, 25 degrees and sunny. Barbados is feeling the heat, don't let those clouds fool you. Winter escapees are soaking up the sun in Cancun. Surf's up, it's another beautiful day in Honolulu. Orlando is a gorgeous 29, and hit the strip in Las Vegas, it's 18 and sunny. So in Calgary, we are warming up again, not quite as warm as our resorts. We're sitting at -10, and there is a wind warning for overnight tonight. We will be heading to -11, unfortunately, but let's take a look at the rest of Alberta. Now, central Alberta has shaken that extreme cold warning from yesterday, so we have a ton to look forward to. It is cloudy all across the board. Up in Fort Mac, we have -14, the only sunny place in our province today, as cloud coverage is all over Alberta. Grand Prairie at -6, and in Banff, we have -8 degrees. But, I mean, we are warming up. We do have a ton to look forward to. Let's see what we have in store for the rest of the week. Tonight and tomorrow, sitting at very similar temperatures. We are cloudy all throughout the week. Saturday, a high of 4. Sunday, a high of 6. And on Monday, also a high of 6. So that means spring is on the way. If you're heading up to the mountains, you might want to take a look at our snow report. Trails are open in Lake Louise. 110 centimeters of powder on the base of the mountain. Perfect conditions to hit the hill. Sunshine has fresh powder. All of the lifts and 127 of the 137 trails are open, with 155 centimeters on the base. 76 out of the 78 trails and 4 of the 6 lifts are open in Nikiska. It's a sunny -20 with 65 centimeters on the base. Fernie has some fresh powder and 110 centimeters on the base. We're sitting at -20 with a mix of sun and cloud. Kimberley is packed with powder, 185 centimeters on the base and -13 with some snow, and it's a beautiful day to hit the slopes in Big White. All of the trails and lifts are open.
So Kendall, I hear that there were almost some records broke this weekend.
Yes, almost. Last weekend, both basketball teams almost broke a record. Sharif Taha almost broke the points record for the basketball game, which is pretty awesome, and the women almost did as well. But let's get right into that. The State Trojans women's basketball team were looking like they lost their touch, but that all ended during last weekend's games. The Trojans ran away with the game against Ambrose Friday night, winning 73-45, ending their 5-game losing streak. They shot 45% from the three-point line, tying the league record. Saturday night's game wasn't as strong, but a victory nonetheless. The ladies will have to work on consistency in defense moving forward to ensure more successful games.
Our team identity at the end that's going to make us a team that goes to nationals is going to be one that is out there setting the tone defensively. And so, once in a while your shots aren't going to drop, but your defense is always going to be there to save you.
The Trojans take on the Briarcrest College Clippers this Friday and are looking for another victory. The Trojans men also had a big win last weekend. The Ambrose University Lions just didn't stand a chance against Sharif Taha. Starting off in the first quarter, the Trojans are down 5-2. Taha gets the rebound and Ambrose just isn't fast enough. And here are his first 2 points of the night. Middle of the first quarter now, Justin McIntyre gets the rebound, and that's 2 points for the Trojans before adding one more with the free throw. McIntyre ties it up for the Trojans, score now 7-7. Later on, McIntyre almost loses it, passes it up to Bea, who feeds it to Taha, and there's an easy 3 points. Closer to the end of the first, Bea sets up Taha once again, and there's another 3 points for the Trojans. Now in the second quarter, John Smith with the ball nearly loses it, passes it over to Taha, and there's 3 points once again. Score now 36-32 for the Trojans. Third quarter, it looks like the Lions are finally catching up to Taha. They don't want to let him shoot. Nick Molina passes it back to Taha. You guessed it, that's 3 points. Now in the fourth, Molina to Bea and back up to Taha. Final score for the Trojans is 95-93. Trojans basketball isn't the only action happening this weekend at the Campus Center. Matt Fatingo knows more about the upcoming Trojans hockey games. Matt, what's happening tomorrow night?
Well, the men's hockey team will actually be in action, the first of two of the most important games of the season for them, as they take on the Grant MacEwan Griffins, and the Griffins are right behind the Trojans in the standings. The Trojans have been offered 2 weeks, and now it's right back to work for this weekend's matchup. State's coming off a big win against the Red Deer College Kings 2 weeks ago, where they saw their record improve to 17-3-2. But the Griffins, they had a couple big wins this past weekend against the Kings. So this weekend, the games between Grant MacEwan and State will determine who gets a bye in the quarterfinals of the playoffs.
Forward to see who wins those games. Matt, with the women's team.
Well, for the women's team, Kendall, it's not as pretty as they take on the first place Red Deer College Queens, and the Trojans, they're sitting down at 4th overall in the ACAC standings. Well, they have improved significantly since the beginning of the season, where they just could not find the back of the net. And since November 16th, they're actually sitting at 7-3, including back-to-back wins last weekend, so let's hope they can carry over some of the momentum from those games. The ladies will be in Red Deer tonight, and puck drop will be at 7 o'clock.
Matt Fatinko reporting live from State's newsroom. If you're looking to catch some of that Trojans action this weekend, well, you're in luck. If you've got your student ID handy, you can watch the games for free. Kicking off the weekend will be the women's basketball team at 6. We'll see if Sharif Taha can continue his hot streak this weekend against the Clippers. Catch the men's hockey game at 7, either in the arena or at the Odyssey for the student night tailgate party. And don't forget to chuck a puck. All the money will go to cancer research. Saturday night looks very similar. Both basketball teams will take on Briarcrest once again, and the women's hockey team will play their second game this week against the Red Deer College Queens. And now that we've got our Trojans covered, the Alberta government wants you to be more healthy, and the new Alberta Sport Connections Board hopes to help. The 10-member board is led by Stanley Cup champion Andrew Ference, and they have all been appointed to serve at least 3 years. Kristen Fong reports on how this new board plans on impacting sports in Alberta.
Today on the traditional territory of the Treaty 7 First Nations to announce a new team.
The Alberta Sport Connection is a government agency in charge of promoting and developing sport in the province. It supports more than 80 nonprofit provincial sport organizations through funding from the government.
We've heard loud and clear from Albertans that they want their agencies, boards, and commissions to better reflect our growing and diverse population.
Recruitment for this board opened up back in September, and 38 candidates were interviewed. The board includes Paralympian Antonia Flores and Olympic gold medalist Erica Weeb.
I mean, you can make anything better. You know, I'm an Olympic champion, I still want to be better. And so I think Alberta Sport Connect has done an amazing job in creating infrastructure and programming for all Albertans.
The whole time that I was thinking about this board and the composition and the people that would be put into this board, I was thinking about what the objective of the board has always been. What is the mandate? And of course, we as a government need to look at sports and how all the different aspects of sports actually improves the lives of Albertans.
The board aims to make Alberta a leader in sport and opening up athletic opportunities whether you are elite or not. The board may have a role in organized sport and how Alberta is represented in athletics, but members of the board may have bigger goals in store. Staying active ties in directly with healthcare, and that is something Andrew Ference wants to focus on.
There's no shortage of peer-reviewed studies that you can lean on for the direct benefits of having an active community and the decrease in healthcare spending.
For St. Newsfile, I'm Kristen Fong.
The 28th Winter Universiade is a multi-sport winter event for student athletes between the ages of 17 and 28. University students get a once-in-a-lifetime experience competing for their country. The international sporting event is like a mini Olympics for student athletes. The University of Calgary sent one of their own Dinos players, Alexandra Vafina, to play on the Russian women's hockey team. The university has many international and Olympic athletes trained on campus. It helps push the athletes while also exposing them to the international aspect of competitive sports to prepare for events like the FISU Games.
Just to see people from all around the world and train with them, or just train on the same facility, it's kind of nice because you trying to find a new ways for your practice and new drills and your exercises, which is really nice, and you can ask an advice or something like that.
Bafina says training with the Dinos and having the opportunity to go to the FISU Games is great for not only her sport, but also for being part of an international community. And that's a look at sports. Bree, are you going to check out any of the Trojans games this weekend?
I think I really should.
Definitely going to have to come visit me at the Odyssey tailgate party.
As Cass mentioned earlier, our temperatures won't be getting much warmer, so after the break we will discuss a charitable way to warm up.
Hello? What do you mean? You can't foreclose on us.
No one is ready for bad news, but the Calgary Urban Project Society can help pick you up. CUPS Calgary.
Light, something we take for granted every day. Today, over 1 billion people don't have access to electricity. They rely on candles or kerosene for light. Kerosene produces black toxic smoke, resulting in 2 million deaths annually. At Light Up the World, we want to eliminate dependency on fuel lighting by bringing renewable energy to remote regions. We improve economic growth, education, and health. Visit lutw.org to see how you can help light up the world for a brighter future.
What's better than a nice cup of hot chocolate on a frosty winter day to take your chill away? Angela Stewart reports on YYC Hot Chocolate Week, a delicious event that supports a good cause.
Gosh, the creativity that people have come up with. You know, as a kid, I just had like powder and milk, and that was it. And that people are just blowing that out of the water.
The YYC Hot Chocolate Festival is back for its 6th year. Throughout the month of February, cafes and businesses in Calgary will be promoting their best hot chocolate drinks, hoping to take the top spot.
Some of the local companies are doing like massive, beautiful works of art. Some people are keeping it really simple. They're all over the place in regards to taste and styles.
State's very own Odyssey Coffee House is participating with its own creative flair.
So this year we did the maple bacon. Last year we did a peanut butter hot chocolate, which was pretty popular.
The Odyssey hasn't won the top title in the past, but this year they won't be the only ones winning. SAIT students can get in on the fun too.
We do have a promo going on, and it's weekly, and if you hashtag our hot chocolate Odyssey, then you get put in a draw for 2 ski passes. And so it's trying to get the word out to students to come and vote for us and also try the drink.
How is the winner determined for the hot cocoa event?
It's all up to the customer online ratings to pick which local cafe or business wins the title of Calgary's best hot chocolate.
Besides the yummy flavors of hot chocolate, the festival has partnered with Calgary Meals on Wheels. A portion of the proceeds from each drink will be donated to the charity with over 80 participating locations. Donations become larger and larger every year.
There are requirements of a minimum amount of donations per drink sold, so it will be quite a large lump sum of money.
The Hot Chocolate Festival will be heating up Calgary until the end of February. For SAIT Newsfile, I'm Angela Stewart.
The cold is never fun, right? But the ice can bring some fun entertainment to people that are watching like us. Here's a video that shows some of the hilarious winter fails from around the world.
Oh!
Oh, here goes Zach. Here goes Zach.
Oh, that's great.
That was good, that last one.
Definitely the first time I saw that, I liked it.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Well, on behalf of Kendall Roberts and Cassandra Stefanik, have a good afternoon.